Welcome back! I've been taking a little bit of a break because the weather has been amazing and I've been out on a boat and everything. So I kind of still remember that we're in the Shiki route, but I'm not sure what happened around it. I'm sure I'll get back into it. But yeah, thank you for joining me again. And joining Akira as he walks through the broken automatic doors and into the lobby. It seemed much busier than before. Maybe the regulars from the club had drifted here, now that their old haunt was gone. He threaded his way through the jostling crowd, stealing glances at the faces of those he passed. It's weird because it's really surreal, because the gist of what is happening is very similar, if not the same, just with the exception that Rin is not beside us the entire time, you know? And giving us insight and all that. We just kind of make our own conclusions, which are essentially the same, granted, but still. It didn't take long for him to notice that the atmosphere was less than peaceful. Most of the men wore shadowed expressions, something had them on edge. Before, the neutral zones had been places where even the most heart-bitten fighters could relax, if only a little. Now, even that thin layer of calm had vanished. What could have changed? Akira slowed his pace and pricked up his ears, listening carefully to the bits of conversation that reached him. We might be next. Who's behind it? Strangely, it sounded like everyone was worried about getting murdered? But why? Such a vague concept. Who would even be worried about murder or anything, or death? Sorry. It's just... Why is this a surprise? A guy in blue coveralls. Who could it be? Akira stopped dead in his tracks.
無差別殺人の?
ああ、見たやつがいたらしい。けどな、青いつなぎだけじゃわかんねえよな。
Is it really that normal to see a guy in blue coveralls? Seriously, think back. You listening. Think back. When was the last time you saw someone sporting a blue coverall that wasn't in a group of people doing construction or whatever? You know, just a guy going out for groceries in blue coveralls. It's not an everyday thing. And if it is, it's always the same guy, right? So in this context, I think it is a lot to go by, honestly. Well, it's enough to go by to, pass him by quickly and run, like with Shiki. Akira's heart was pounding. There was only one man he knew who wore blue coveralls. See? And he was going around killing people?
昨日もあっただろう。これで何人目だっけが。
Too many.
知らねえけど10人は超えてるぜ。昨日のは東っつったかな。
Over 10, not counting the people in the club. The instant Akira heard this, his body was in motion. Ooh. He left the hotel and headed east down the avenue, his heart pounding in his chest. Going out at night, Akira? Are you kidding me? There was no guarantee that the man in blue coveralls was Keisuke. Even so, for some reason, he felt certain of it. Yeah, well... In the end, he searched every alley on the east side of town and found no trace of Keisuke. What a surprise. But I'm pretty sure we can find someone else. Perhaps he'd already moved on. Or perhaps the sighting had been of someone else entirely. No. But though he knew he ought to have expected this outcome, Akira couldn't stop himself from slumping wearily against the wall of a building. The sky was growing light, but he guessed that the building's shadow would protect him from prying eyes. A sigh spilled from his lips as he let fatigue take over. Hours of desperate, fruitless searching had worn him to the bone. He found himself thinking that maybe he'd just sit here forever and leave everything up to fate. The humid air clung to his skin. Perhaps it would rain. As though to prove him right, black clouds rolled in to cover the sky. Dark spots appeared on the asphalt, quickly covering every inch of exposed ground. Get inside! We have no money to get, medication if you get, pneumonia. A wet smell choked the air, thick with dust and dirt. His eyes watched the drops streak past. He didn't mind the rain. It was calming. Oh, bolla! Are you freaking kidding me? This is so edgy. This game is so fucking edgy. He didn't mind the rain. It was calming. I've become so numb. Amid the quiet, ceaseless drone, he could imagine that he was all alone in the world. He didn't have to think about anything, do anything. It was enough to simply be. He wondered what it would be like if that were true. If everyone existed in their own separate world, where no one could ever interfere. He wondered if that would be lonely. Yeah, I can't imagine that being lonely ever. As he wallowed in the rain, gazing out at the avenue, a shadow moved across his vision. Shiki! Someone was crossing the street. Akira watched him go, thinking nothing of it. But then, his eyes widened. He jerked upright, then took a halting step forward, as if a force were sucking him in. Though their hue was darkened by the rain, there was no mistaking those blue coveralls or the man wearing them. Ooh, it's time for the emotional dialogue. His murmur was swallowed by the rain. Keisuke didn't appear to have seen him. He finished crossing the street and entered an alley on the opposite side. His heart in his throat, Akira leapt to give chase. To be fair, we have no reason to suspect that we won't be fine this time, right? Because he's let us go, 3 times? And he's always like, I'll kill you next time. Sure. The rain was colder than he'd expected. It stabbed at him like slivers of ice. But he couldn't afford to let that slow him down. He entered the alley into which Keisuke had vanished. All these places looked more or less the same, but this particular alleyway felt more forbidding than the rest. Perhaps it was due to the rain. Also because it's the same alleyway where a lot of shit happened in this game. He ran straight down the road, turning right when he hit a corner. No, this is the alleyway I meant. This is even worse. There he stopped. Keisuke was standing several meters ahead of him. The rain made him seem as colorless as a ghost, but even just standing there, he exuded a terrible presence. The instant Akira spotted him, chills shot up from the soles of his feet. So he had known Akira was there. Of course he did! He baited you and got you into a secluded, isolated alley. Keisuke took a step forward as if to welcome Akira's arrival. Hey, freak. Akira. That was not nice. His tone was pleading, affectionate, mocking. That was affectionate? Excuse me. Akira. That's affection? Are you kidding me? That is a bad throat, like a bad strep throat. Akira. Right? Anyway, his tone was pleading, affectionate, and mocking. Alright. Keisuke slowly spread his arms, tilting his head upward toward the sky as if to catch the rain. Okay, here on out it's the same apparently. Yeah. So everyone on rain is just crazy about sniffing us. It's probably our blood, right? Anyway, let's skip it because we've seen all of this before. Yikes, it's the same fight, the same emotional dialogue, apparently. Okay. Keisuke was on his knees, raking at his throat. He tried to push himself up, but crumpled. He tried a few more times with the same result. Finally, all the strength drained from his body, and he collapsed face first into the puddle beneath him. This is different, because last time he staggered off, and Rin came to fetch us, right? And then we fought with Rin and all that shit. But, last time... My point is, last time he was able to still walk off. But this time, he collapsed face first into the puddle beneath him. Quickly, or he'll drown. He wasn't moving. Keisuke! Akira's voice echoed forlornly inside his head, but no sound escaped his mouth. What was this? What had happened to Keisuke? It's the Ishizavi. All of a sudden, he found himself quivering, racked by an emotion that had seized his body. A hot lump sealed his throat. He clenched his teeth, but his sobs leaked out anyway. Oh, baby. He had begun to get up, but now he sank back down, pressing his cheek against the wet asphalt. He imagined every part of him melting away, leaking from his fingers and toes, carried off by the rain. Excuse me, but if someone is unconscious, face first in a puddle, they will drown in a puddle. The ceaseless drumming grew until it filled his mind. He could think of nothing else. So we're both drowning in puddles? In our own respective puddles? Something heavy splashed through a nearby puddle. And a third one has another puddle. Just 3 dudes with their 3 puddles. The sound yanked him just a couple of cards. The sound yanked him back to his senses, and he shivered. The water running off him was light and slippery. Yet his body felt leaden, as if he were climbing through mud. He struggled to lift himself on his elbows. The sky was black, and the rain was a shower of needles. Shiki! Against the backdrop, a pair of crimson eyes stared down at him. Why are you stalking me? For a second he shrank away, but then all the strength drained from his body and he sank once more to the ground. Right now, he lacked even the willpower to summon this man's name. He just didn't give a damn anymore. And Shiki's like, oh, god damn it. Someone ruined my toy. His glare pierced Akira sharper than the rain. It was almost impressive how he almost managed to appear when Akira last wanted to see him. Sure. It's called stalking. Excuse me. Excuse me! His voice cut through the rain, in a tone that would brook no disagreement. Akira raised his heavy eyes to meet Shiki's stare. Excuse me! Let me just catch some Z's, okay? I have not asked for your opinion. The words meant nothing. They slid through him like air. Nice. The pressure Shiki exuded was like poison to him now. He lowered his eyes and forced his festering tongue to form an answer. Baby. Akira. If he turned his head just a little, he'd see Keisuke close beside him. He wished the rain would melt both of them away, then perhaps his cursed blood might be purified. What makes you think your blood is cursed? I think the drug is what's cursed, if anything. He heard a sharp whoosh overhead, and then a gleaming white blade appeared before his eyes. Bitch! It's raining! Of course I'm sniveling! Also... I know that's not... Okay, whatever. Shiki's voice stabbed into him, colder than any blade, but he felt nothing. No surprise, nor anger, nor fear. I mean, of course there's no surprise, but also like... Dude, if he could get up, he would. Did he just kick him? Literally kick him while he's down. Are you kidding me? The toe of Shiki's boot exploded in his gut. As he groaned, Shiki stomped on his head. Bro! Excuse me! Now I'm even less inclined to get up. His vision dimmed until all he could see were two vivid points of crimson. Was this how he was going to die? Head split open like a pomegranate? So be it. Pomegranates are delicious. Dude! He's beaten up! Like, you get up when you're in that state. The weight on his head withdrew, and he felt his body rise into the air. He came face to face with Shiki, who had grabbed him by the front of his shirt. Those are contradicting statements. He kept his eyes lowered as he spat the plea. Perhaps this would so disgust Shiki that he'd end his life here, with one clean stroke. So is it implied that Keisuke is just dead? Without another word, Shiki let go. He sank boneless to the rain-soaked ground. As he wondered whether the moment of his death would taste sweet, a shadow fell across his sight. Shiki's icy glare was right in front of him. He had no time to wonder what was going on. Shiki tore open his jacket and pushed up his shirt. What? Why? Rain as cold as Shiki's stare pelted his bare skin. Shiki's hand glided over his exposed chest, then slid down. Oh gosh. Okay. Panicked and bewildered, Akira attempted to shove him away, but Shiki's weight was like an immovable boulder. His wet hand slipped off Shiki's jacket. The ground beneath him squelched as he struggled. Ew. Those are many adjectives. What does that mean? I don't want to know what that means. Can you just leave? Come on. I'm wallowing as it is. I don't need anyone to throw me a pity party or whatever you're throwing me. Just leave, please. Shiki's lips twisted in a mocking smile. He was still gripping Akira. The suggestiveness in his stare made Akira avert his eyes. What do you mean, body? Have you checked his pulse? Maybe he's still... Well, if he was alive, he'd drown in the bottle. Yikes. Yo! Excuse me? Shiki began to undo his belt. The rough metallic sound was all but drowned out by the rain. as though to silence Akira's protests. Honestly, Akira, you should just like say nothing and go limp. I think that's the best you could do. Because like, I feel like you struggling and coming alive is exactly what he wants, right? As though to silence Akira's protest, Shiki sucked hard at the flesh of his neck. Ooh. Pain shot through him, his throat convulsed. That's normal. Shiki's hands were busy stripping his lower half. Keisuke. Yikes. Having some days off in between makes me remember how normal life is, And how very much not normal this is. What the fuck? Rain stabbed into Akira's widening eyes. You know what? I kind of hope he's watching, because that would mean he would not be dead and drowned in a puddle. There was laughter in Shiki's voice. What the fuck? No, Keisuke was watching? Was it possible? Could he see what was happening? But no! That was a very genuine reaction, honestly. I think I would react exactly the same. In an instant, his vision went red. Ooh, yes, let's go! He pulled back his fist and with all his strength punched Shiki full in the face. Yeah, go queen! Aw, did that hurt you? Did that hurt your little face? Chest heaving, he glared at Shiki, whose head was turned to one side from the force of Akira's blow. Nice! For a long moment, Shiki didn't move, but at last his lips formed a cold smile. Red eyes speared Akira, blazing with a wild light. Oh no. Oh no. I think this is exactly what he wanted, actually, now that I think about it. He's like, oh yes, finally he's fighting back. This is like what gets him off. Though he knew Shiki was only trying to provoke him, he was helpless to resist the explosions of rage. Yeah. Shiki caught a second punch, then slipped the third and used his free hand to seize Akira by the neck. No! I mean, Akira was already fucked up before Shiki came along, so, this is unfair. Excuse me? What the fuck? What? No! Yo. But we're the ones that almost went to jail, We're the ones that needed like this mental confinement jail thing, not Shiki or anyone. Rage had devoured his reason. He could see nothing but the scarlet eyes facing him. Shiki was clamping down on his throat with such force that he couldn't move or breathe. But he wasn't about to let that get in his way. Honestly, I would be more open to letting my corpse be desecrated. At least Akira wouldn't have to, suffer through it. That's all I'm saying. Even though I hope none of this happens, but we'll see. I guess there's a bad route for Shiki? I don't know. Anyway, he freed his fist from Shiki's hand and clawed at Shiki's arms with all his might. Yeah, go off, sis! If nothing else, he would shed this man's blood. Yeah! If you're gonna die, take him down with you. Shiki lifted him by the throat and slammed his head into the ground twice. Lights burst behind his eyes, but still he kept reaching for his enemy. A heavy blow sank into his diaphragm. Yikes, ouch. Puke on him. The pain was accompanied by a surge of nausea. His body tensed. Puke on him! What is? As a white-hot ringing filled his ears, he thought he heard Shiki whisper. What? Excuse me? Shiki's weight rose off of him. His struggle and the fear and rage that had driven it had left him physically and mentally drained. His body had gone numb, but now the pain returned. All he could see, through his narrowing vision, was a shadow moving around him in the rain. Would he finally be granted death? Oh, yikes. A vague hope rose in his chest, only to be dashed into pieces. He felt like he was floating. Is he carrying us? Like someone waking from a dream, he abruptly realized what was happening. Oh my god, he is! What the fuck? You know what? This image looks so much cuter than what the context is. It looks so cute. But we all know this is a psychopath. Oh yikes, Shiki was carrying him. Can't you, like, wiggle out? Just wiggle a bit and then you fall to the floor? Oh, yikes. And he's also princess carrying us. Like, out of all carrying styles, I would prefer being carried like a sack of rocks, you know what I mean? Glossy black, dripping wet hair framed Shiki's face. The predatory light that presaged? I've never seen this word before. Presaged? Violence was gone from his eyes, and in its place was a soft yet chilling gleam like that of glass. Wow, new expression. Akira's breath caught in his throat. A new and unprecedented terror had gripped him. Maybe he started to, like, respect us a little bit for fighting back. I don't know. Or never mind. You know what? Just fucking never mind. Shiki spoke the words like an order, like an absolute command. No, that's a different game. Yo. That is not what I meant. I only said you could do what you want in context, you know, in the context of you killing me. After smothering Akira's retort, Shiki started walking. Over his shoulder, Akira glimpsed a form in blue coveralls lying face down on the asphalt. Is he dead? Oh no, that was sad. Is it like for every other route that isn't Keisuke had to die? Is that just the way it is? Also, this is really sad. Like, what is Shiki gonna say? Does he like not care that we have another guy? I mean, he's dead, but oh god, that was harsh. I'm so sorry. As the rain beat upon his back, he cried out the name of his vanishing friend. It felt like his heart was being crushed. But as the rain leached the heat from his blood, he began to feel instead resignation. Already? No matter how hard he shouted, it meant nothing. Keisuke was dead. Are we sure? I mean, I guess. Dead. At that moment, his grief and regret gave way to a vast sense of emptiness. Yikes. The rain grew to a mighty roar, and the two men vanished into the darkness. At least you told him everything you weren't able to before he died, you know what I mean? But also, he died because he took your blood. I know it's not his fault or anything, but yikes. What is happening? Shiki tossed him down on the bed with a creaking of springs. He has a bed? The dry sheets were instantly soaked. I mean, he's Eel-Ray, so of course he does. But, like, also, like, kind of jelly. After carrying him through dark alleys in the pouring rain, Shiki had entered an apartment building on the city outskirts. The walls were bare, unpainted concrete. You know, for being a drug kingpin, this is really not it. They passed a bank of mailboxes that still bore the nameplates of former residents and continued up the stairs to the second floor. The hallway was long, but had only one door on each side. Shiki had carried him through the door on the left. So, former residents, so we're the only ones living here now? Why is there no other one coming in here, you know? Is it guarded? The apartment was quite spacious, no surprise, since there were only two on each floor, but almost completely empty. The floor and ceiling were grey cement. A single light dangled from above. In one corner stood a bed and nightstand opposite the door leading to a second room. You know, you could stand to, like, get at least some furniture in here that looks better than something you get off of a yard sale. I hope at least the bed is comfortable. Shiki flicked the light on, walked over to the bed, and flung Akira down. Yo, you just ruined your own sheets. Akira glared at him with all the hostility he could muster. In response, Shiki smiled. Oh, yikes. Oh, can we not? Can we not? Akira had no way of knowing what Shiki intended, but the sadistic curve of his lips filled him with foreboding. You know, not to out myself too much here, but I'm very much into, like, someone being a little bit sadistic with me. But it has to be consented! What about consent, bro? Gotta go. His jacket still lay open, his wet shirt rolled up to his chest. Oh, he's still half naked? In this state of heightened alertness, every sensation was amplified tenfold. When Shiki laid a hand against his skin, his whole body jumped. Yeah, with fear. Shiki chuckled deep in his throat. Akira clenched his teeth in shame and frustration. You're still not able to fight? I mean, I guess not, but Shiki's palm glided over the outlines of his musculature, descending from his chest to his abdomen. His fingertips stopped once they'd found the dip that marked Akira's navel. Wait, excuse me? Here we are. What? Akira squirmed, trying to escape, but Shiki pinned his shoulders down. What is he? What? Excuse you! I'm gonna do what I want! His fine-cut lips twisted cruelly. He was enjoying this. Every futile attempt of resistance. Okay, let's just, I think I said this before, but like with Shiki, I think to make him go away or to make him kill you at least, it's just like, apathy. Just no response whatsoever. You know what I mean? Or maybe go the Blitzo route and just be like, oh, maybe we enjoy it too much. It'll freak him out maybe. I don't know. I just don't like the situation. He stretched a hand towards the nightstand and picked up a flask of brownish glass. He bit the cork to pull it free, hot, spat it away to one side, and narrowed his eyes meaningfully as he scrutinized Akira. What? Shiki tipped the bottle over his naked chest. Amber liquid gushed out, splashing everywhere, filling the air with its choking aroma. So what, like Jack Daniels, some kind of rum or whatever? I don't know about alcohol, bro. Akira grimaced. The powerful stench of alcohol made his lungs burn. I'm good. He tried to turn his face away, but Shiki seized his chin and forced his mouth open, then shoved the bottle between his lips. What is it, like 43? Like, there's a bottle 43? That's fair. Fair response. The alcohol blazed a fiery trail down his throat. He couldn't swallow it all. Swallow it all! The excess dripped from his chin and seeped into his clothes. Oh my god, he's gonna be fucked up. When was the last time that he ate something, right? I think it was with Keisuke, right? Ah, yikes. Chuckling, Shiki set the bottle back on the nightstand and lowered himself atop Akira. Akira couldn't help but stiffen as Shiki's legs brushed his chest. He felt so hot, it made him wonder if he'd somehow absorbed the alcohol through his skin. Is that possible? He felt a peculiar warmth near his navel. When he glanced down, he caught a glimpse of Shiki's red tongue. What? What is your obsession with my navel? The sight was enough to make him dizzy. Dizzy? He tried to resist, but his limbs felt weak. Had booze always had this effect on him? His field of vision seemed to swell. He'd never felt anything like it. Are you gonna give me a piercing? Shiki laughed in the back of his throat and took something new from the nightstand. Something long, slender, and silver. He brought it to Akira's stomach. Oh my god, Akira, we're gonna be twinsies! I also have a navel piercing. Oh, yikes. But, to be fair, a navel piercing is gonna look amazing on Akira. He couldn't stop himself from crying out. Its fine tip pierced the skin near his navel like a swelling needle dipped through cloth. Was the alcohol for disinfecting purposes? Like, are you kidding me? You know how easy it is to get, like, an infection on a navel piercing? I disinfected it every day, and I still got an infection. Like, it's just... What? Excuse me? Prove? But the pain seared the question from his thoughts. Together with the last traces of drunkenness, that's not how it works. He gritted his teeth, averted his face, and squeezed his eyes shut. No thanks. Shiki's voice was a splash of ice-cold water. You know what? If you're gonna pierce my skin anyway, how about you lick some of my blood? It has an interesting effect, I swear. Aye. Despite himself, Akira obeyed. He felt as though his body were bound by some spell. Can't you just take this chance to, like, I don't know, bite his ear off or something? Mark your back! The sharp tip had sunk into his navel. Yikes. Blood leaked out in a fine line marking the rim of the place where he'd been pierced. It was as red It was as red and as bright as Shiki's eyes, I guess. This is proof that everything you are belongs to me. You know, it would be hot if there was such a thing as consent. It would be really hot, you know? Can we just act like there's consent here? Shiki's voice whispered to him in tones of unquestionable certainty. The sound of it twined around Akira's feet like the words of an enchantment and rose higher and higher to swallow him. It told him to surrender, body and soul. Is that how it works? It told him that submission would bring such sweet relief. The thoughts of a blossoming masochist. The crimson eyes boring into him and the aroma of hard liquor were driving him crazy. Even his pain gradually started to become tinged with pleasure. It was only an illusion, and yet the needle ate slowly through a thin fold of his skin and popped out on the other side. Slowly, just thrust it through, please. Like, I got my piercing in I think under 10 seconds. A slim thread of blood dripped from the wound. Just push it in, bro. What do you mean snaking slowly? A soft sigh sipped from his parted lips. Immediately his eyes went wide. That sound. It couldn't have been him. Is he enjoying it? Shiki greeted Akira's reaction with low laughter. I mean, I would love to be honest. He traced the errant stream of blood with his tongue, then lapped at the open wound himself. I wouldn't do this anyway, but it is kind of hot, you know? This entire image is kind of hot. Not gonna lie. And the piercing looks great. The piercing really looks great on Akira. I'm very happy for you. Akira's body shook like a leaf in a storm. Something was wrong. He shouldn't feel anything but pain and heat. And yet, it had to be the liquor. Yeah. Let's just put it all on the liquor. No. Definitely not. The contempt? Contempt? You're a fucking sadist. What do you mean contempt? And Shiki's voice sent a fresh wave of heat through Akira's inflamed flesh. Ugh. The next item he took from the nightstand was an open ring of silvery metal, just large enough to fit around someone's fingertip. Oh, he's getting a ring? Shiki pulled the round cap off one end and pushed the thin hoop against the opening in Akira's skin. Ew. Akira's face twisted in pain. A foreign object was worming its way into his open wound. He grabbed Shiki's arm, but there was no strength in his grip. He didn't know whether to blame it on the alcohol or the pain. Ignoring Akira's feeble resistance, Shiki pressed the piercing through the hole. Yeah. It buried itself in his flesh, a shining emblem of his shame. Yikes. Though he ground his teeth together, he still let out a short cry. Shiki capped the ring with a satisfied smile. The cloying smell of liquor had already dissipated. Now Akira caught the faint, raw iron scent of blood. Shiki... Oh, I'm just noticing! Shiki licked slowly at the blood around the piercing, then wound his hot tongue around the cold metal. Disgusting. But also like... what'll happen to someone that takes in Akira's blood? I mean, I know he doesn't take the drug or anything, but like, maybe it'll fuck him up regardless. You know, you can always hope. Akira's pulse. Oh my god! If we actually manage to kill him, we can just take his bed. Even though the sheets are ruined, but like, still, better than sleeping on asphalt. Akira's pulse thundered. His every cell seemed to beat in time with his heart. He let his head fall back, unable to watch. It hurt. Pain spread from the wound like fire. If that pain felt pleasant at all, then surely the alcohol was to blame. Okay. Well, that's very hardcore, Akira. It was his fault. Shiki's fault. Shiki did this. Shiki. His thoughts were a blur. He could see nothing but the dim, distant ceiling. Until a pair of crimson eyes slid into view. No. You know what? No thanks. How about you ask me first? Take me out to dinner first. I haven't eaten in days. For some reason, he felt more than despair or shame. His freshly opened piercing throbbed, as if reacting to Shiki's words. Oh my god, it's mind-controlled. On the backs of his closed eyelids, he saw Keisuke's face. Oh yikes, this is making it even worse. Can we just... Oh fuck, I was just, you know... I was compartmentalizing that fact. I was just like storing it away. I was already forgetting about Keisuke, but remembering it only makes it worse. It felt as if his heart were being torn to pieces. This was his punishment. The night was just beginning. Please tell me this is the end. Please just tell me. Shiki was watching him. Watching him sleep? Freak. Unable to take it any longer, Akira squeezed his eyes shut and devoted his attention to the work of his left hand. Don't. Please, no. Oh, fuck me. He was chasing a faint, elusive thread of pleasure, pulling it back to him again and again as he sought to heighten his own arousal. If he lost his focus for even a moment, it would vanish in panic, amid panic and shame. Yeah, that would be the normal response, I suppose. What? Why are we doing this? What? His fist moved clumsily up and down. Sometimes the motion caught at the wound on his palm and brought a fresh spike of pain. Ouch! Those red eyes kept watching him. Why are we doing this? From the far wall, Shiki silently watched as Akira on the bed with his legs spread wide worked desperately to bring him to... Okay, well... Shiki's smile was that of a conqueror. Oh, fuck you. Can we just go? Why are we doing this? After the piercing, as Akira had lain there limp and dazed, Shiki had breathed a mocking whisper into his ear. You know what? And what if I do? It's none of your business. Shiki's touch on his crotch had brought a wave of burning shame, and his words of protest had died in his throat. For in spite of every scrap of reason he possessed, his had been pushing at the fabric of his pants. What? Oh, wow. Yo! What? Wow! Oh my god, okay. He'd murmured so softly that a shiver ran down Akira's spine. His next words, however, had come like a bucket of ice water. Wouldn't ice water hurt with, work or work in favor of losing that erection or whatever? Is the ice water like kind of the antidote, so to speak? You cannot be serious. What? You can't. What? I'm sorry. So many emotions. For a second, he had no idea what Shiki meant. Yeah, exactly. Ooh! Before his fist could reach home, Shiki's blow had exploded against his face, shaking the bed beneath him. Ow! My face! Okay. You know what? I'm really not into your weird no consent thing. I gotta go. His gaze had been colder than the rain still hammering outside. I do, actually. I do have a choice. With steel in his voice, he'd reached out and dragged his fingernails across the swollen flesh around Akira's fresh piercing. Oh, fuck! Ow! Oh, okay, I see. You know what? The scar isn't really what I'm worried about here. Fuck. He'd pinched the silver between two fingers and given it a light tug, sending a ripple of pain across Akira's skin. His thoughts went back to the moment in the rain when he'd succumbed to despair and surrendered his fate. He'd placed himself in this man's hands. Well, no, not really. You know what? There's no such thing as like a contract in real life. This isn't, you didn't really make a deal with the devil or anything. It's not binding. Just not. But did he truly deserve this? No! This torment? Absolutely not. Shiki pulled harder at the piercing as though to tear his doubts away. Fresh blood seeped from the drying scab. Ow! Oh, fuck, that's gotta hurt so bad. That's gotta hurt like a fucking bitch. Akira set his teeth against the pain. It felt like biting down on his pride. Pride? What use was it now? Yeah, well, nothing. But, At last he reached for his belt with trembling hands. No way! His fingers were stiff as he undid his belt, opening his fly and slid his pants and underwear down his legs. I hope you're using this belt to strangle Shiki. Okay, great. I don't care what you say. Shiki's words and stare were heavy with disdain. Akira found himself unable to object. His exposed showed no sign of wilting. Ugh. Oh yeah. Oh fuck! Oh my god! You cannot be serious! He was becoming increasingly aroused, but he couldn't focus. Of course not! He was so humiliated, he almost wished he were dead. Just when he seemed about to climax, the pleasure he felt would slip through his fingers. His futile panting was all that filled his space. He's really doing it! He's really doing it. Are you kidding me? I mean, I know it hurts and everything, but are you kidding me right now? The cut on his left hand, the wound Keisuke had given him, was not particularly deep, but nor was it shallow, and it had yet to fully dry. When he tried to use his other hand, Shiki had stopped him. Perhaps the wound was another tool. Yeah! Yeah, obviously! There was laughter in Shiki's voice. It felt like he could read Akira's thoughts. You really are no better than Abicho. Except for your face. And your goddamn sexy husky voice. Rage still... Sorry. Very inappropriate. Rage still seethed in Akira's blood. It made him gasp, stronger than pleasure or pain. He squeezed his eyes shut against it, tighter than before. All he wanted now was to escape this humiliation. No, you know what? I'm fine. Oh god. No. We're fine. We can handle this ourselves. Shiki's low voice suddenly reverberated in his ears. He tried to look up, but Shiki had come down over his eyes. What was happening? Fear bound his limbs. Moments later, his nerves tingled with a new sensation. Shiki's nails were toying with the hole in his navel. Leave me alone! I'm doing as you're saying, so just fucking leave it. It hurt, but not as much as it could have. Shiki was being gentle. Oh, goody! His fingernails caught lightly at the wound, as if tickling it. Ah! Sparks of pain rose from his abdomen, where they met with Shiki's silken whisper. A strange, sweet sensation spread through Akira's body. It resembled how he'd felt earlier, after Shiki had forced the liquor down his throat. So, are we like into this? Is this positive? I really don't know what is happening anymore. What Akira is thinking, I don't understand. This new throbbing made his pulse rush faster. It felt as if he were floating. Shiki was still blocking his sight. In the darkness, his hands, still gripping, felt hot enough to burn. His heart jolted. The breaths spilling from his lips were still hard and fast, but now their nuance had shifted. Well, and again, even if we are, that's totally fine, you know. It's a kink, and it's a good kink, not just personal preference. But also, like, it's a kink. It has nothing to do with you. How about you leave me the fuck alone? If I call you, that's fine. But you can't just do this shit without consent. This is not how it works. Even if his body is enjoying it, doesn't mean that he wants this. How he wanted to deny it. Oh, yikes. But his hand was moving on his own accord. He could feel each individual finger like a brand against his skin. The cut on his palm blazed with heat. Sticky drops flowed from the head of his... It felt as if his body were no longer his own. Wow. Okay. Shiki's hand left his face. He could see again. And those eyes were right there, fixed on him. His skin shivered. Every hair on his body rose. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, I guess. At least. Oh god, I hate the moans. A moan burst from his lips. The sweet urges coursing through his body couldn't find no other exit. His hand was wet with and the pleasure of his motions had doubled. Okay. The noises he could hear were wet and filthy, but even that was a tantalizing melody to his ears. So, is he enjoying it? Is he, like, accepting it? I would like a clear word of consent, honestly. I don't know how to feel about all this. Each stroke of his made his wound cry out with the pain of 100 needles, and yet it felt so good. Well, okay, alright. I hate this guy. I hate him, alright? God damn it. His deep, amused voice vibrated the air, which was filled now with the sound of Akira's ragged breathing. Okay, Shiki was watching. Those red eyes were watching! They would take from him everything. Ooh. Okay, Akira, alright. Oh god. This is so upsetting. I don't like it being directly in my ears. Oh god. Before he knew it, his shame had evaporated. All that remained was the act, the pleasure, the struggle for release. He worked furiously. He was so into it, it hurt. A choking masculine stench surrounded him. I'm too gay to understand, bro. I know I'm bi, but like I've never. No thanks. Now rose the scent of rust. The wound on his left hand had opened, painting his manhood from tip to stem with blood. Yikes! Okay, that's disgusting, bro. His left hand was a solid mass of pain, and yet this only heightened his excitement. Good for you. Was pain what he truly desired? Don't feel ashamed. It's fine. The numbness in his hips swelled without warning. He arched his back, his head pressing against the wall. His thumb dug hard. Okay. Something he couldn't identify. Something painful and blissful. His body seized, and a white fire scoured his mind of thoughts. Scourged? Okay. Alright. Dimly, distantly, he could feel scalding. Okay. Alright. He sucked in short, halting breaths, trembling as aftershocks rippled through his body. His lust was scattered across his belly. There was no mistaking what he'd done to himself. He didn't have the energy to care anymore. Okay. Shiki smiled coldly, a twisted glee in his eyes. I'm glad you're having fun. Actually, I'm not glad. Can I just, polish your face? The last few drops pulsated from his shaft and glittered in the dim light. His left hand was plastered with and red. Okay. Yep. After Akira collapsed on the bed, Shiki put a hand on his brow and pushed his head up to peer closer at him. What? Put a hand on his brow and pushed his head up to peer closer at him. How does this... I can't imagine how this works. Now that you said that, I'm gonna do exactly the opposite. I'm gonna piss in your bed. Shiki turned. Sorry, but fuck this guy, man. Shiki turned, then cast Akira a single cool glance over his shoulder before leaving the room. Okay, glad you're satisfied, I guess. You heard a heavy metallic clack from the door. Shiki must have locked it from the outside. Can't we jump out of the window? As his head gradually cooled, he started to hear the rain again. It was still pounding, just as hard as before. All of a sudden, laughter rose in his throat. He couldn't stop himself. It was all too much. He draped an arm over his eyes, blocking everything from his sight. Shiki was right. He was pathetic. No, you're not. It's fine, It's really fine, Akira. The cut on his left hand gaped, sticky with his fluids. Oh, yikes. Let's go shower. Those red eyes boring into him. The thought drew a pang from the mark in his belly. Something was wrong with his body. No, it's not wrong. Everyone has a preference, and you would be shocked how many people are into this. And he had no idea what. It reacted as if it had a mind of its own, separate from what he felt in his heart. The memory of how he disgraced himself moments ago filled him with such shame that he wanted to die. And yet, that was just what he deserved. No, it's not. We all choose our fates, and you didn't choose this, so it's not what you deserved, okay? How about we get up, take a shower, and fucking leave through the window if we must? That's a good plan, isn't it? I like that plan. Was Keisuke still exposed to the rain? I'm pretty sure Keisuke's dead. Still balled up in that same spot on the ground. The thoughts tormented him. I mean, if he really is dead, wouldn't the executioners have picked him up? He closed his eyes tight. Or maybe Shiki is going to pick him up, I don't know. The rain still showed no sign of letting up. He dozed off without realizing it! You cannot be serious, Akira! We had a chance of escaping! While lying curled up on the bed. He was still drowsing, drifting in and out of sleep, when someone grabbed him roughly by the arm and pulled him up. God damn it, we lost our only chance. He looked up bewildered to find Shiki standing beside the bed. Oh god, fuck.
Koi.
Let me go. I just want to go home. Without waiting for a response, Shiki started to drag Akira off the bed. Oh my god. Oh, bitch slap. When Akira tried to shake him off, Shiki slapped him across the face. He didn't hold back, and the corner of Akira's mouth burned from the brute force of the blow. Akira glared at him with scorching fury. Shiki said nothing. Their eyes clashed, but his grip on Akira's arm remained firm. After a moment, he resumed dragging Akira toward the door at the back of the bedroom. Oh my god! Bathroom! Let's go! This is our first shower in weeks. Beyond it lay a small humid room about the size of a closet. It was dimly lit. Akira could make out a floor and walls plastered over with worn down tiles. There's a bathtub! A white bathtub partially filled with hot water set in one corner. You know, this is enough to make me, like, you know, forget my pride. I would be like, yeah, I can be a bitch. Whatever. You have a bathtub. Looking particularly out of place. The water rippled languidly, occasionally reflecting bits of light. Rough as a mother cat handling her kittens, alright. Shiki hauled him into the room and tossed him at the tub. Into the tub or at the tub? Still too dazed with sleep to control his own body, he failed to catch his balance and toppled over. Water splashed everywhere, and the back of his head smacked the edge of the bathtub. Ow! For a second, his vision went black. Yo, he could have killed us! He was still recovering from the impact when Shiki lifted him by the front of his shirt. So is Shiki, like, not caring whether we live or die? Because it feels like he wouldn't want us to die yet, right? I mean, it would be best for us to die in this situation before anything worse can happen. A stream of water struck him from above, silencing his question. Okay, what is that fucking face? What the fuck is wrong with you? What happened to you? Who hurt you, Shiki? Honestly, who the fuck hurt you to make you this? Yikes. The room quickly filled with steam and the hiss of the shower. He tried to turn his face from the spray, but Shiki seized him by the hair and pulled him back. Okay. Only when he started choking did the assault begin to ease. Shiki watched him with an amused sneer, shower nozzles poised in one hand. I beg to differ. I disagree. When Akira glowered back at him, coughing violently, Shiki's smile deepened and he turned the temperature higher. Scalding water sprayed Akira directly in the face. Ow! It was agony, as if fire were streaming across his skin. A beating would have been preferable to this. Yee. Chilly red eyes watched him without blinking, as if determined not to miss the slightest flicker of emotion. He was enraged and frustrated, but to be certain, but terror too had begun to take hold. This was how it would be from now on. Shiki would torture him little by little, gradually stripping him of will, reason, and pride. This is why we should have fucking jumped out the window and left. Would he end up leaving? Would he end up a living corpse? Was that Shiki's ultimate goal? What would Akira think then? What would he feel? Perhaps nothing. Thoughts flowed from his brain like water and vanished, gurgling down the bathtub drain. I disagree. Can't you hear? I said that very loudly. Just as he was about to pass out, the water pressure abated and Shiki grabbed the front of his shirt again. Wait, we were about to pass out from hot water? Okay. Just as he okay. He'd swallowed so much water, coughing he struggled to support himself on unsteady legs. Shiki attached the shower nozzle to a hook on the wall. He hadn't turned it off. Can we not? Can we not? He spoke the command as if it should have been obvious. Akira looked up. He could feel his face growing hot. Can I just shower by myself? You know, you could just wait outside. He's wearing leather. Isn't hot water like the worst thing you could do to someone wearing leather? It would just, shrink around him. Oh my god, let's do that. Let's just, grab the hot water and like spray it on his fucking leather everything. This was where he drew the line. Alright, good to know, Akira. After a moment's silence, Shiki slammed him back against the wall and leaned close. Once again, those red eyes seized Akira's soul. His piercing throbbed. A feverish heat bloomed deep inside his head. He didn't want to obey. Everything rational in him struggled against it, and yet defeat was bitter on his tongue. Slowly he pulled his wet, clinging shirt over his head. He removed his tags as well. After he'd taken off his jeans and underwear, he stood utterly exposed to Shiki's penetrating gaze. Just go into the bathtub. Kind of like go underneath the bubbles. Get some dignity back. Shiki studied him silently, a cold smile on his lips. Then, without warning, he spun Akira around and shoved him face first against the wall. This is the worst position to be in! He ended up with his hands splayed beseechingly against the tile. Oh, shit. He sensed Shiki circling behind him and felt Shiki's breath by his ear. Something seemed to writhe in the pit of his belly. As he attempted to turn around, Shiki ground his forehead into the wall. He felt Shiki separate. Okay. Took no imagination to guess what would happen next. His throat quivered. Oh god. He tried to get away, but Shiki had his head pressed to the tiles and a firm grip on his hips. The sound of water filled his ears. He could see nothing through the steam. Well, small blessings, I guess. A scorching... Oh, God. Oh, fuck. The pain and the unfathomable pressure of it wrung a scream from Akira's throat. He clutched at the wall, his nails scraping the tiles. Oh my god, fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself, Shiki. God damn it. Oh. Shiki chuckled huskily and began thrusting without mercy. He's... Okay. Alright. Oh god, I don't want to hear this. He couldn't breathe. It felt as if his guts were being ripped from his body. He would have sworn he could hear flesh snapping and tearing. Yeah, obviously. Your actions have made that clear. Shiki's voice was heated, but as sharp as ever. He continued his savage pounding, stretching Akira beyond any conceivable limit. Okay, the pain told him exactly how. Okay, alright. The damage to his body was nothing compared to what was happening to his spirit. Just then a particularly... Okay. As he... Oh god. Okay, an electric shot shot him down his spine. No. But the word never passed his lips. Instead, it emerged in the form of a sigh that vanished into the steam. All he could do now was lower his head and hide his shame. Oh god, he nodded his lip a bit. Okay. It's enough, voice actor Kun. He nodded his lip. A peculiar sensation was emerging amidst the agony. Yikes. Okay, alright. This is too much. Okay, alright. Yep, okay, begging for it. Yeah, great. Yeah, Okay. When he opened his mouth, all that came out were quivering gasps. His body would give in long before his heart did. Okay, that's what I saw about heart. He groaned as Shiki's grip tightened further. Just something crumbled deep inside him. Yikes. So this was the despair one felt at the bottom of the abyss. What else could he do? He flung away the last dregs of his reason. Oh god. The shower drowned out his shameful whisper. Shiki touched his piercing and his hands pressed against the bathroom wall curled into fists. At last Shiki's grip loosened and he began moving again. Oh god. After trying so hard to endure it, the sudden onslaught of pleasure was too much to bear. His knees shook, he could barely stand. The sound of Shiki's ragged breathing made his piercing twinge. What? The fuck? What? Okay. And that sensation brought a dizzying rush of pleasure. What? Shiki was okay. They were going very fast. Racing, you could say. He closed his fist around the... Okay. Very brutal. Alright. Yep. Akira can't think. Small mercies. He arched his back, pressing his chest to the wall as burning... Okay. Muscles convulsed. Yep. Seized his hips. Okay. Yep. In the aftermath, he drifted in a haze. The ecstasy had drained both his flesh and spirit. His hands slid limply down the wall, too weak to hold him up any longer. Shiki caught him easily as he collapsed. A masculine smell. I hate this. I really do hate this. Okay, Shiki dropped him back in the bathwater and he found himself slumping against the edge of the tub. His thoughts lay in pieces and he lacked the energy to gather them. Oh my god, go fuck yourself, Shiki. Seriously. Before he had a chance to figure out what this meant, Shiki seized him by the chin and something fleshy only when he... Oh no! Okay, alright. Yep, okay, this is where I draw my line. What's Shiki doing? What would come next? Akira's mind was empty. There was nothing he could do. Perhaps he should just submit. Perhaps then the suffering would stop. Oh, God. Can we just go back to the Rin ending? It was so nice. It was so nice. Akira lay in bed, wrapped in damp and dirty sheets, and stared out the fractured window. He'd lost track of how much time had passed since Shiki had brought him here. Black clouds still covered the sky, and it was hard to tell whether it was day or night. He guessed mid-afternoon at the earliest. He was alone in the room. Shiki had gone out. Can't we escape? Just run, Like, go through the window and just, book it? Unlike before, however, he hadn't locked the door, nor had he tied Akira up. So he just knows that Akira will stay? Could he escape? Akira pushed himself upright, eyes fixed on the door to the hallway. He'd been lying in bed for so long that he stumbled as he crossed the floor. The coldness of the concrete beneath his feet seeped into the core of his body. Are we naked? I just want to establish that, because if we are, it would be too dangerous to escape. I know the irony and all that, but when he reached the door and jiggled the knob, it opened without resistance. For a moment, he stood there in disbelief. He really could escape. He started to run, but his legs buckled beneath him. Oh, fuck. He caught at the wall to keep himself from falling. He hadn't realized his physical condition had deteriorated this much. You know what? Here's the plan. Take the bedsheet or the blanket, whatever, and just go into another apartment in the same complex, like the one next door for like here, right? And just, barricade yourself in the bathroom of the apartment next door. He will never expect it. He will think that you've run away. So just, just hide out there. For a bit, until you kind of like pulled yourself together again. Still, it shouldn't take much to recover, but instead of forging ahead, he retreated back into the room? What? His rough start had taken the wind right out of his sails. If he'd been himself, he would have found some way to leave, even if he'd had to crawl outside or leap through a broken window. Exactly! But with his spirit in tatters, he lacked the willpower to try. What? Just imagine what will happen if you stay. He found himself consumed by a powerful lethargy, as if half of him were missing. Just go into the apartment next door and just be lethargic there. It'll be so much better than staying here, seriously. Besides, he had to wonder, perhaps it was a trap. He plopped himself down on the edge of the bed and dug his thumbs into his eyes. He tried to deduce what Shiki might be plotting. Had Shiki truly forgotten to lock the door? Definitely not. He doubted that such a man would be so careless. So, even if it is a trap, he would be standing outside the building or, like, at the entrance, like, downstairs, right? Like, I would at least peek out into the corridor to see if he was standing in the corridor. And then I would probably open, like, one of the windows or, like, break one of the windows even and, like, throw something downstairs so it looks like we flung ourselves out the window and left, right? And then just stay in the apartment next door until we pull ourselves together, right? That's a solid plan, isn't it? Oh, God. It's better than just staying here. Was Shiki testing him? If he fled, Shiki might hunt him down to the ends of the earth, definitely. When he cornered Akira and cut him down, he would still be wearing that same cruel smile. Wouldn't it still be preferable, though? Yes, he'd have his fun either way, regardless of whether or not Akira attempted to escape. Still! You still have to try. Not a trap, then. This was a game. Shiki was using Akira for his own amusement. Yeah, we established that before. And there he realized the truth. He feared Shiki. Well, that makes sense. No, he told himself, it couldn't be. Shiki was the sort of man he despised more than any other. Arrogant, certain that the world would bend to his will. But those eyes, that damn smile. Whenever Shiki touched him, whenever that low voice brushed his ears, his body took control. I mean, I get it. But still, come on, man. Shiki could make him feel things he'd never dared to imagine. The experience had shaken him to his core and shattered his stubborn, worthless pride, both as a man and as a human being. you've really got to make a choice here, you know? If you enjoy it, no shame, you know, no shame. You could stay. You could just be like, okay, I consent to this and I like it. But, you know, you can do that. But also, I don't know, bro. I wouldn't, you know, BDSM is all about trust. And someone who already broke your trust in this kind of way, no way. Just go. I know he's hot. I really do. He's hot and he's probably good at what he does. But it's not worth it. You know? It's really not worth it. You have no idea what he will do. He's a psychopath. Just leave. Alright? No matter how great it is, just leave. Alright? Please? Thank you. PSA over. He let out a deep breath and sank down on the bed, rolling over onto his back. His nerves were wearing thin. Perhaps he would be better off if Shiki dispatched him with a swift stroke of his sword. Yes! Life versus death, pain versus peace, tedium versus terror. Which was the easier path? Or were they all the same? They are definitely not all the same. Torture is 100 times worse than death. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, there was no real difference between living and dying. Yes, there is. Pain. All these doubts circled in his head, invariably returning to the same initial question. Let's just fucking leave. Please. Please, just leave. Please run away. At least try. Alright? Because you don't want to die. You want to live, no? It's just, why was Shiki keeping him alive? Why him? Was it merely caprice? Had a passing whim inspired Shiki to plunge him into this hell? Yeah, probably. He glared at the crumbling ceiling. This wasn't where he belonged, festering in this place, and yet the hours passed and Akira did nothing. Sweetheart. Let's try and survive. And by that I mean, fucking leave. Alright? There's no way we can stay here. As he rolled over, turning his head to one side, he noticed something sprinkled across the sheets. It was blood and dignity. A series of small spotty stains, not quite brown and not quite black, marked the grungy fabric here and there. Blood, no? It only took him a second to realize what it was. The blood rushed to his head and onto the sheets, apparently. Yikes. Seething, he leapt to his feet and yanked hard at the wrinkled sheets. They rose billowing from the bed, and he bundled them into a corner to hide the dark stains. His piercing ached. Everything Shiki had done to him returned in vivid detail. He felt anger, pain, and something else, growing amid the pain like an egg within its shell. The wound on his left hand was stiff with congealed black blood, but he curled it into a trembling fist and swore that when Shiki returned he would use it to pay him back for all that he'd done. Let's just leave. Baby, please. Oh, god damn it. Don't stay. The light outside the window darkened, then returned to the pale grey of dawn. Where is Shiki anyway? A whole day had passed and Shiki had yet to show himself, and the rain was still falling. Please just leave. He lay there in bed, alone with his rage, but even that was beginning to fade. It wasn't possible to maintain such anger for long. He still had no idea what Shiki was thinking. If he hadn't assumed that Shiki would chase him, he could have escaped a dozen times over by now. Even if he does chase you, even if he does. Please leave anyway. Please. We could hide. We could. Oh, God. I do wonder what the best course of action would be. Like, if his body was in top condition, then maybe we should just, run to the nearest hotel, get as much food as we can. Or, no, okay, never mind. Like, run to the nearest hotel, get as much food as we can. Maybe tell Rin about what is happening. Ask him for a safe spot where we can hide out. Yeah. Best course of action. Find Rin. That is just my answer to everything. Rin is the answer to everything, okay? Just always Rin, okay? He's my favorite. Was Shiki giving him a chance of freedom? Akira's thoughts kept veering towards the unknowable. Don't know unless you try. The only thing we can be sure of is that you're going to be in a world of pain if you stay. Perhaps Shiki had simply abandoned him. It seemed entirely possible, given his capricious nature. That would be nice, because the apartment is nice enough. If night came again and Shiki hadn't returned, he would make his escape, no turning back. He kicked the stiff ball of sheets off the bed and threw himself down on his back, then glanced sharply at the window. Are you never hungry? The rain appeared to have lightened, if only a little. At last, the storm was ending. You know what? We could just go and get something to food. And then try to escape. And if he finds us on our way to get food, we could just be like, yeah, well, we were hungry and you weren't coming back. We were on our way back anyway, you know? It's not a good excuse, but also like, we're hungry, right? There's no food in this room. Hours passed, evening came and went, giving way to night again. Shiki hadn't returned. And on that hopeful and happy note, let's just hope it stays that way and we fucking leave already. This was a hell of a ride. Very disturbing. Very sad, too. Let's just, yeah. I have no words. I think I've said everything I needed to say. So hopefully I'll see you in the next episode. Let's see where this route takes us, because I wonder how much more there is to this route. We'll see. But until then, have a lovely day, folks. Stay safe. Please stay safe. Remember that relationships, any kind of relationship, even if it's just a coworker, everything is always about trust. And if your trust has been violated once, don't just be like, well, it felt good, or well, he's hot. No, just leave. You know, there's so much out there. You don't have to take the worst of the worst just for fear of not getting anything else or anything as good. Because at the end of the day, Shiki is trash. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to have to say this. Even though it's hot. He's also trash. Okay? I'm very sorry. On this solemn note, get yourself something amazing to drink. Pamper yourself this time around. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.